Joey Bada dollar signs. You know, if you really look at it, it looks like it says badass. Oh. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Wooly, and you are here again for another edition of Wooly Reviews. Hip Hop Data. We got our first album review of the year today, and we're going to be talking about the debut from a young MC who's been making all kinds of noise. He's been putting in work, and he's finally dropped his debut official album, so we got to holler at it. Talking about Joey Badass, Before the Money. Now, for those who aren't familiar with who Joey Badass is, he's a young MC out of Brooklyn, New York, who's been doing a lot of work, putting in a lot of, effort to make his name get as big as it's been getting. He first came to shine with his 2012 mixtape, 1999, and that's what kind of catapulted him into and put him on the radar of a lot of people, and he's just been putting in work ever since. He is the front man of this group called Pro Era, or this collective. It's sort of like a label slash crew slash a lot of people that does a lot of shit hip-hop wise, not just hip-hop, but it kind of expands out, but it's sort of like a movement, and he is at the forefront of that movement. And he's also signed to Cinematic Music Group, which is also home to artists like Big Crit and Smoke DZA, just to name a couple. He's also been putting in a lot of work, working with other producers and artists and stuff like that. He's done tons of work with Static Selector, who's also his DJ, I believe. And he also has done work with DJ Premier. He was on A$AP Rocky's debut album, the song One Train. So he's just been doing a lot of stuff and also dropping countless mixtapes with, the Pro Era crew, just building their name up and building himself up to drop an actual debut album, and people will give a fuck about it and want to go buy it. That's the point. So let's talk about it. Now, as soon as you put on Before the Money, you instantly get that New York classic 90s style hip hop album sound and feel. It sounds like this album could have been released in the 1990s and it would have fit perfectly. But just the production itself, it just has that New York vibe. You feel like you're in New York. I mean, I can't explain it. You just have to listen to it. It's just got that feel. The way that the drums are, the way that the sound is, the way that Joey's rapping over the beats, because he is from Brooklyn, so it does feel like a Brooklyn, New York MC on a New York album. It just sounds that way. And he's got a lot of different producers on here that managed to capture all that essence of New York on there. He's got people like Static Selector. He's got a J Dilla beat that's assisted by The Roots. Hit Boys on there. DJ Premier has a beat. Kirk Knight, who's part of Pro Era. I mean, and a lot of other ones. Basquiat. It's a lot of different producers. Chuck Strangers. I'm probably missing somebody, but it's a lot of producers. Just buy the shit and you look at the credits, okay? But all of them delivered some quality sounding beats, but yet it's very reminiscent to that throwback 90s, classic golden age hip hop sound, especially in that New York sense. It's just there. It's hard to explain. Once you hear it and you listen to it, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as far as Joey is concerned, what do you expect from Joey other than dope ass rhymes and dope ass, lyrics and everything like that? Because that's what he does. That's what he brings. And on here, he does not disappoint. He brings some of his strongest wordplay and lyricism that I've probably heard from him to date. And he's done a lot. I've been listening to Joey for a while, but this here, he seems really focused. I mean, you can tell he really put his effort and time into this album. You also get a little peek into Joey's life in certain aspects of how him being an only child, being from Brooklyn, but his parents are, from the Caribbean, and, how he was influenced by that. Also, how he deals with his newly found success and fame, and, how, some things he wish he likes about it and some things he doesn't like about it. He touches different subjects that you really get in this album. You really get to know a little bit more about Joey as a person, as well as an MC. And he still gives you those records where he just gives you bars after bars after bars and just lets you spit. And who doesn't like bars, right? Unless it's jail. Never mind. Look, the point is this. The album is pretty damn dope. He hits all these fucking areas and points that he's supposed to hit, especially for a debut, and you really get to see the different sides of Joey Badass as an artist. Now, as far as the album's concerned, as far as, playing through it, it's a pretty much a solid playthrough front to back. There are a couple tracks here that I don't care for. Actually, it's only probably about 2 tracks that I really don't care for. And one of the tracks is a track with the artist Rory. I think it's called Escape 120. I just can't get into the beat, and then also the rhyming pattern that they both do on here, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't feel like it fits for me, just for me. So I kind of like skip over that shit. I don't want to hear that one. And then the last track, which I really don't hate it. It's just so sonically different. It's the track with Kaiser. It's the bonus track at the end. That song it's okay. I mean, it's a dance track, but it's so sonically different from the entire album, because the entire album is just straight hip hop to the core. And then at the very end of the album, you got this dance track, which I understand because, you know, Joey's Caribbean roots and Jamaican roots, he loves dance music. So he snuck that on as the last bonus track. So I'll let that slide, Joey. But, you know, it's not a bad song, but it's just, it does not fit. And I think he knew it didn't fit, but he just wanted to throw it in there to give that little extra oomph. But I tend to not listen to it. I mean, it's not bad, but I just don't want to listen to it. I want to listen to the Joey Badass of the hip-hop sense. So now, that's the only real drawbacks to the album for me. Now, I got to give you, of course, the top 5, which was a very hard choice because I like a lot of these records. But I had to whittle it down to a top 5 with one honorable mention, which is sort of like a top 6, but I'm going to say top 5 with the honorable mention. So my top 5 tracks are Save the Children, Paper Trails, Big Dusty, Christ Conscious, and Black Beatles with an honorable mention for Jesus View. Now, like I said, I like all these songs, but these are the top songs I like. Big Dusty and Christ Conscious, they were both singles, and I see why, because those are dope records. But for me personally, at the top of that list for me is Black Beatles. I love that record. I love the beat. I love what Joey's saying on there, talking about, you know, all the metaphors. It's so metaphor heavy, and, you know, it's just, the hook is crazy. It's just everything about that song. That's the song that I constantly play back and back and back. When that sound comes on the album, I'm hitting that back button a good 5 times before I let it go to the next record, just saying. But the whole album, except for the other tracks that I said I didn't care too much for, is a solid playthrough. And it's not, those aren't album killers. I mean, Joey Badass did what most artists coming up really can't do, and that's put out a great, solid debut album that's going to actually not only grow in time, and, you know, it's going to be one of those albums that people are still going to be talking about and that you can listen to probably today and 5 years from now, because it's just got a lot of replay value. It's got a lot of content. It's got a lot of substance, and it's just something that you can tell he put his effort and time in. From what I understand, it took him about 5 years to get this album ready and, you know, to be made and get to the point where he could put out this album. And I think it was well worth all that time and all that effort he put in, because he put out a great body of work. I can't say if this is a classic or like a masterpiece. I don't know yet. I have to really listen to this a lot to really see if it grabs me like that. But I can't say for right now, from the whole week I've been listening to it, I have not got sick of it one time. And it really is at the point where it's like at the highest level of great before masterpiece. It's like on the tip of like masterpiece level, but it's like really, really, really damn good to great. And, you know, damn, Joey, good job, man. Like, you really, really put your effort and your foot into this shit, and it paid off. Everything on here is clicking for the most part. A couple things here and there, but, you know, hey, what album doesn't have its little things here and there? But nothing that I can say, hey, this album is completely bad. No. So my final verdict, I'm not saying that Joey Badass Before the Money is an all-around great, amazing debut album, minus a little thing here and there, but it ain't gonna kill it off for me. All I'm saying is that production is crazy. Joey's bringing the rhymes, and he's bringing them with a fury. The concept, well, really isn't a concept, but just the feel of it is that classic New York album from a Brooklyn MC. You get that, and it's all over here. I mean, everything on here is right. The features on here, it's not even feature heavy. I can't believe I didn't say anything about feature, because it's not really feature heavy. There are features on here like Action Bronson and, you know, Elle Varner and, you know, Rory and, you know, members of the Pro Era crew and everything like that. But here's the thing about it. I think the reason why I didn't actually mention them is because they're so overshadowed by Joey himself. Joey is so damn, you know, strong on this album that you kind of forget about the other features. You feel like they just kind of just chimed in. They didn't really make a statement, because Joey has always, you know, made that statement more than anybody on this album. That's why. So yeah. So for the most part, all I gotta say is that Joey Badass Before the Money for me is 100% Granddad approved. Definitely go pick it up and cop it. Buy this album. It's worth every penny. I ain't got nothing else to say about it, but it's a dope hip-hop album, a great way to start off 2015. I hope we keep getting more quality hip-hop albums like this, and it's good to see a young guy like Joey Badass who is actually putting in some effort to make great hip-hop music and, you know, guiding the culture along. So nothing more to say. Joey Badass Before the Money is Granddad approved. Flip it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Joey Badass Before the Money if you've heard it. If you haven't heard it, like I said, go cop it. It's out now. Support him. He's been putting in a lot of work for years, and he deserves every penny he gets for this album. It's a great body of work. Previous videos on the side, as well as my music video. Check those out. Show them some love. And as always, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram. Links in the description below. And subscribe. Button on the screen, button below. Wooly Reviews twice a week. Nothing more to say than that. So until next time, I take my leave. Granddaughter, Joey Badass before the money. I'm out of here.